Hello, thanks for joining us. Can you tell us your name?
Oh.
Hello, my name is Ryan Ali.
Ryan Ali, 32, has lived in Syria his whole life.
Why do you want to become an American citizen?
Go.
The camera isn't showing my face right.
No, it is not.
Well then, to be completely honest, I fear for my life.
And why is that?
For about 8 years now, my home has been plagued by a civil war. This conflict is between forces of the Baathon government and forces who want to remove the government.
And which side were you on?
I was a rebel.
You say it was. Did something happen?
One day after a protest, I was followed home. They entered my house, and after my memory gets fuzzy, but all I could hear was screaming, and my body was in so much pain. When it was finally over, they assumed I was dead, but I was still holding on for dear life. A friend of mine heard the commotion and came to help me at once. He saved my life, but he couldn't save my wife or daughter. They were killed, and I couldn't do anything about it.
Sorry for your loss, but why leave instead of continuing to fight?
I wanted to stay, but my friend begged me to leave. He didn't want to see me die. He told me I had to live on for my family. So I'm leaving the fight, but I'll still support my fellow rebels.
I see. So how do you plan on gaining your citizenship?
Go.
Well, the plan is already in motion. I am planning on getting an H-2A temporary agricultural worker visa. I have a buddy who lives in New York who is acting as my petitioner.
H-2A temporary agricultural worker visa or program allows U.S. employers or U.S. agents who meet specific regulatory requirements to bring immigrants to the United States to fill temporary agricultural jobs. A U.S. employer, a U.S. agent as described in the regulations, or an association of the U.S. agricultural producers named as a joint employer must file Form I-129, petition for non-immigrant worker, or a prospective worker's behalf.
The visa allows me to stay in the States for no more than 3 years, but I will need to petition for asylum within that first year.
Very interesting. So where will you stay during this venture?
I'm going to be staying with my employer. He has an extra room that he said if I could stay in while I'm working for him.
And what if you cannot get that visa?
Then I'll have to go to Plan B.
Plan B?
If I cannot get into the States with a visa, then I'll have to be smuggled in. I know a woman who owns a fishing company that would most likely be able to get me in, but it's very risky, and if I'm caught, they're going to deny my case for asylum.
Now, if you don't mind me asking, why the United States?
Well, I guess it seems the best option. If I go to a neighboring country, then they can easily send people to kill me, but if I go to the U.S., then the whole sea is between us.
Can they still find you? And why would they even want you? Wouldn't you just be considered a foot soldier?
I know they can still find me, but I believe the U.S. will protect me. The country is built off of immigrants and fighting for freedom, so it's wrong to assume that they will help me. But in Syria, I'd say that I'm a prominent figure, at least to my little gang of rebels, and they would want to kill me in order to silence yet another rebellious group. They should really learn that will just make my group more determined.
They being the government.
Correct.
I see. So this case or petition, how will that go?
Well, it can either go really very badly or very good. I've been in contact with an immigration attorney, and they will say I have a good case, but only 25,000 people are awarded asylum each year. So even if I have a good case, there's a small chance that we will actually win.
What is exactly needed for this case?
First, I have to prove that my life is at threat in Syria, which won't be incredibly difficult because I had others seeking refuge from the war before me. And I can gather witness testimony from my fellow rebels. Next, I have to prove that I would be prosecuted by the Syrian government for my political beliefs or my particular social group. The main point of the case is to prove that I am a refugee and require protection from the States.
And what happens if this case is denied?
I will not be able to apply for asylum. I can go to court for an appeal, but I won't have time. If I have to, I will travel to other countries such as Canada and Mexico.
What are some challenges that you face in your day-to-day life?
I fear for my life constantly. After the attack, they found out that I was still alive, and they have been searching for me. I have to wear disguise whenever I go somewhere, and I have to be very careful who I trust.
When you move to the U.S., will you miss Syria?
Yes, it's my home. I grew up there, but I can see that I need to leave. I'll miss my friends as well. They will be putting their lives on the line while I hide like a coward. And I just pray that this war will end soon with the government toppling and the rebels winning.
I see. Well, this has been a very informative interview. I wish you luck on your journey.
Please state your name for the camera.
Leah Sommer. Leah Sommer, 29, has lived in Germany her whole life.
Now, why do you want to become a U.S. citizen?
Why? Well, I want to become a U.S. citizen so I can be with my husband. Well, my soon-to-be husband.
Why can't your partner just become German citizen and you could live in Germany?
We did consider that option first, but after discussing it further, we decided it would be a better move if I moved to America.
What was the tipping point?
Tipping point? Well, my family disapproved of the marriage, and they did not like the thought of me getting dual citizenship. They claimed that I was hurting the bloodline and that I was just using my fiancé to become a U.S. citizen.
And is that true?
No, of course not. I don't care about that. I could care less whether we have to go or if we're staying there. I'm happy as long as I'm with him.
Won't you miss Germany and your family?
Of course I'll miss them, even if they don't agree with the marriage, but it's not like I'm leaving forever. Once I'm a citizen, I'll be able to travel back to Germany.
So what is the process for becoming a citizen?
Well, it's tough, I'll start with that. But I originally went to the U.S. within Easter. German citizens can apply for an ESTA visa waiver to travel to the United States. The ESTA allows citizens of Germany to visit the U.S. for tourism, business, transit, medical, and short study purposes without a visa for up to 90 days per visit. Germany was added to the visa waiver program in 1989. However, security measures intended to address tourism threats have necessitated the pre-screening of travelers prior to their arrival to the United States.
How long did you stay?
I stayed for about 2 months, then went home.
Was it hard to get an ESTA?
Surprisingly, no. The process of getting one is fairly easy. The application process is online, so it's relatively quick, and the application fee is only €9. When you submit your application, it can take up to 72 hours to get an approval, but my application was approved within 46 hours. After that, I was able to go to the States, and that is when I met my fiancé. We hit it off instantly, and we ended up driving across the country together. Go.
That sounds fun. What happened after that?
Well, I repeated that process a few more times, and I would usually come down for holidays. Before I knew it, we were always calling and visiting each other, and then I was proposed to.
And you decided to stay in the States?
Correct. After that, we had to plan things very carefully, and we had to postpone the wedding.
How long did you have to hold off the wedding?
Well, we still haven't had it, but so far it's been postponed for about 3.5 years.
That's quite a long time. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes, but it'll all be worth it in the end. Now, where was I? Oh, right. My husband is referred to as a petitioner. He files a petition with the United States Citizenship and Immigration Services. This is done by mail using USCIS Form I-129F, Petition for Alien Fiancé. For the petition, my husband had to provide forms that supported the fact that he was a U.S. citizen, like his birth certificate and his passport. After that, we both had to give statements about the marriage and give proof that we were actually going to go through with it. We had to provide other forms and other criminal records, and we took passport-style photos and we submitted them with a petition.
I see. It doesn't seem that complicated.
It doesn't at first. After submitting the petition, we had to wait a few weeks, and then it was a month, and 2, and apparently the petition was declined, so we had to create a new petition and had to pay the fine for the petition once again. We submitted it once again and finally got a form 1797, Notice of Action, Acknowledgement Receipt. The petition was then sent to the National Visa Center for handling, after which the file will be transferred to the U.S. Embassy and the consulate having jurisdiction over my place of residence.
So what happened after that?
The consulate informed me about the requirements for forms, and I appeared before a consular officer for a scheduled interview. After a small hurdle, the consular officer approved me for a K-1 fiancé visa to the United States. A K-1 visa requires a foreigner to marry his or her U.S. citizen petitioner within 90 days of entry or depart the United States. The immigrant has 6 months in which to use it to enter the U.S.
Hurdle?
There were a lot of things that the officer needed, such as vaccination reports. I had not gotten vaccinated since I was a child, so not only was I not up to date with my vaccinations, but I was not able to get the forms from my parents.
What did you do?
I had to retake all the shots, and I was in and out of the hospital for a while.
So what is the plan now that you have the visa?
I plan to apply for a green card. We hope to conduct the wedding as soon as possible after I get back to the U.S. That way we will have time to receive the official marriage certificate before the 90 days on the fiancé visa are up. We will get the official marriage certificate in order to submit a green card application. After that, I will apply for a green card.
Do you think you'll get one?
Well, after we receive the marriage certificate, we'll have everything we will need as we already have the birth certificate, my financial documents, and for my permanent stay in the U.S., I will be staying with my husband.
Well, I wish you the best.
After interviewing each immigrant, we can see how difficult it can be to obtain a green card, to live in the United States, and go on the path towards naturalization. Each immigrant had their individual problems while trying to find a way to become a U.S. citizen, but the one who seems to have the most unsure future is Ryan Ali. Ryan is from a war-torn Syria and is constantly on the run from the government. He did explain his plans on going to the States, but if these plans happen to fail, he is unable to go to the States or any other country, then he may end up dying.